Ah, I'm glad for the chance to talk once again. There is something I must explain.
By all means, explain away.
What I said before about wolves. It is because my grandmother was killed by wolves. Killed and devoured.
How?
Years ago, when my mother was a little girl, her mother, my grandmother, was on her way back from the village on her motor scooter, which was and still is the only means of transportation most Fredonians can afford. It was January, and the sun had just set, and it was dark, very cold. There were thousands of wolves in the countryside that winter. At night they would roam in huge, hungry packs. My grandmother was halfway home when she came upon a young man waving from the side of the road for her to stop. He too had been on a scooter, but his had broken down, and wolves were gathering all around him, preparing to attack. My grandmother, of course, stopped, and he leapt on behind her, and they took off down the road with the wolves, dozens of them chasing after them. But with 2 people riding it, her scooter was slow, much too slow, and the wolves soon caught up with them. And when one of the wolves seized my grandmother's boot in its teeth and started to pull, instead of helping her, the man pushed her off the bike. It instantly gained speed and he got away. My grandmother, set upon by the wolves, did not.
If she died, how do you know that's what happened?
Tormented by guilt, the young man eventually confessed. He went to prison for several years, and the wolves were hunted year-round until the countryside was rid of them. But the damage was done. And so, I'm happy to talk to you about any subject except wolves. About them, I have nothing to say.
Thanks for taking the time to talk to me.
It has been a pleasure.
You check out Skookum Ridge?
Not yet.
What else do you want?
I'd better get back upstairs.
Good.
Well, who are you?
I'm Elsa's replacement?
Oh, the new maid, thank goodness! I was wondering how much longer the owner expected us to endure these conditions and still pay full price.
I thought I should introduce myself. My name's Nancy Drew.
My name is Guadalupe Comillo. My friends call me Lupe. 2 things, dear. First, the alarm clock is missing from my room. I don't necessarily need another one. I just don't want to be charged for that one, seeing as I have no idea where it went to. Second, be a doll and clean my room first. It'll hardly take you any time at all, especially compared to the other rooms. The other guests are all men. Single men.
Well, I'm happy to report that I've already cleaned your room.
Excellent.
What are you looking at through the binoculars?
Birds. I'm watching birds. That's what I am, you see, a bird watcher. Sometimes I go outside and watch, and sometimes I stay inside. It all depends on what the birds feel like doing and what I feel like doing.
What kind of birds do you see here?
In the short time I've been here, I've seen hawks, eagles, orioles, cardinals, jays, nothing truly rare. But to a wildlife lover such as myself, seeing them in such a spectacular setting is thrilling nonetheless.
Have you met the other guests?
I've bumped into them at one time or another, yes. I don't spend all my time in front of this window. That Yanni fellow, he's very talented but extremely intense. His whole life revolves around being the best in the world. As for the 2 who are always sitting across the way playing that silly game, the older man, Bill Kessler, he's no deep thinker, but he's nice enough. But the other one, that college student, talking to him is like trying to converse with a giant turnip. No social graces whatsoever. I almost prefer talking to the handyman. Almost. Anyone that intent on destroying something as glorious as that wolf is hardly worth talking to.
Have you ever seen the wolf that's been hanging out around here?
No. Not that I'm looking for it, of course. Yanni occasionally skis by, and that dullard of a student, I see him snowshoeing occasionally. But I've yet to see the wolf. Have you seen it?
Me? I'm just the maid, remember? But I did find a bunch of tracks beyond the pond. You could try following them and maybe see the wolf that way.
Maybe I will. Have you told anyone else what you just told me?
No?
Good. Don't. You see, I'd like to see this wolf for myself, and I don't want everyone else going after it and scaring it away. And there's no telling what that trigger-happy handyman might do. So it'll just be our little secret, all right?
I'll let you go.
Au revoir.
Can't check that off yet. Oops, haven't done that.
Hey, excellent job on the snow shoveling, eh? We had ourselves one fine time out there because of you, especially Lou here.
I beat him 5 times.
By the slimmest of margins. Which is why now he's too chicken to go mano a mano with me out there in the ice fishing shack.
Snowshoeing's my thing, dude. Besides, it's animal cruelty.
Gimme a break. You ever been ice fishing?
No, but I've always wanted to try it.
Excellent. Here's the deal. I need some competition, so I want you to go out there and try to catch a bigger fish than I caught yesterday, which means you gotta catch a 2-foot northern pike. Now, it's a bit of a hike out to the lake, but the shack is solar heated, so it's nice and warm inside. So what do you say, kiddo? You game?
Anything to make you guests happy.
Atta girl.
Are you by any chance related to Rolf Kessler, the guy who used to build carousels around the turn of the last century?
No idea.
Well, I'd better get back to work.
Drop by any time.
Hello?
Hi, Chantal.
Nancy! Listen, before I forget, Ollie called and said that one of the guests, that Bill guy.
Bill Kessler.
Kessler, right. Apparently he's been agitating for someone to compete against him in some kind of ice fishing contest.
I know. He asked me and I said I would.
Good, because as I said before, you and Ollie are to keep what few guests we have at the lodge happy. If they want you to go ice fishing, I want you to go ice fishing. So, what else is going on?
Nothing else to report.
Good. Talk to you soon.
Hello?
Me again.
So, how's it going?
Yanni Volkstaya, the cross-country skier? Someone threw a bomb at him while he was out on the slopes training.
A bomb? You mean like a grenade or something?
Whatever it was, it left a small crater. I saw it myself.
Why would someone do that?
From what I've read, Yanni is a pretty ruthless competitor. He's probably made a lot of enemies. In fact, he's convinced that his competitors are the ones who blew up the bunkhouse. He thinks they were trying to intimidate him.
And what do you think?
I think he could very well be right. Someone is definitely using explosives around here. And if Yanni's enemies are even half as determined as he says they are, it's quite possible that one of the people now at the lodge is working for them.
But getting rid of someone by blowing him up? Isn't that a little excessive?
Maybe they're trying to scare him into quitting.
Well, either way, sounds to me like figuring out who's behind these bombings is the way to go.
Guadalupe Comillo says she's a bird watcher, but I'm not so sure.
Why do you say that?
For one thing, most birders will go on for hours about the birds they've seen or the birds they want to see, but not her. In fact, birds seem to be the last thing on her mind.
And for another thing?
The alarm clock from her room is missing.
So, she's not a bird watcher because she sleeps in?
I found a melted clock face in the debris left behind when the bunkhouse exploded. It could have been part of the timing device.
Do you think it could have been Guadalupe's? You think she's the one who blew up the bunkhouse?
Hey, women can blow things up too, you know. At the very least, they can help blow things up.
Whatever you say.
Are you familiar with a book by Jack London called The Call of the Wild?
Sure, it's about a dog who winds up leading a pack of wolves. It's a classic. Why do you ask?
Because I found a copy of it in Lou's room.
Interesting. Maybe he's got something to do with the wolf that's been lurking around outside the lodge.
I was thinking the same thing. He does spend a lot of time outside by himself. He says he's snowshoeing, but maybe he's up to something else. Something that ties in with the wolf somehow.
Or maybe the fact that he's reading that book is all just a big coincidence.
Yeah, that could be too.
As I recall, it was a pretty good book.
Ollie's on the avalanche patrol, which means he knows how to handle explosives.
Could he be the mad bomber?
He's got the temperament for it, I can guarantee you that. What I'm not sure about is why he'd be the mad bomber. Although he did mention that he wanted to get back into ranching for himself.
What's stopping him?
No property and no cash. Which reminds me, Chantal hasn't gotten around to giving him the raise she promised him. He seemed a tad bitter about that.
Maybe he figures if he wreaks enough havoc around there, Chantal will shut down the lodge and sell it to him for next to nothing. Not only will he get property, he'll get revenge.
You really think she'd sell the lodge to Ollie?
Of course not, but if Ollie thinks that, he could easily be your guy.
The guy who built Icicle Creek Lodge also built this weird concrete pyramid thing nearby that everyone calls Trapper Dan's Needle.
What's it for?
No one knows, but there was a piece of black nylon-type fabric sticking out of it. Like there's a door in it and someone had snagged their clothes on it on their way in.
So you think there's a door, but you can't see one?
Right.
Well, just keep poking around. If something's got a front door, it usually has a back door, too.
That's all I have to report.
Call again soon, okay?
I will. Bye. Long as it's not time to cook, I might as well stay out of the kitchen.
Nancy, Chantal's calling.
You didn't cook dinner. What few guests I have were furious, to say nothing of starving. Now go to the kitchen and get ready to cook. And please, do it right.
Order up. Order up. Order up. Order up. Order up.